Good afternoon at 1 o'clock, the lunchtime news on BBC One with Celia Hatton.
Good afternoon. The government says NHS doctors in Sudan can now catch evacuation flights out of the country, with just hours to go before some of the UK's final rescue flights leave. More than 20 NHS medics were told they could not board planes because they were not British nationals, despite having UK work permits. It's become increasingly clear the ceasefire in Sudan is not holding. Sandra Berg reports.
Safe from the fighting. Nearly 2,000 people packed on board a ferry arriving in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, this morning, after an overnight trip across the Red Sea from the increasingly crowded and desperate Port Sudan, where people are trying to use this escape route as others close.
It's so bad, so bad. And a lot of innocent people there dying every day.
He's my mom's first cousin, and he's the first one of my family that has left Khartoum in this. And,
What relief.
What a relief to see him and his kids safe and sound.
Port Sudan is 800 kilometres from the capital, Khartoum, where most British nationals have been based, and the government's evacuation effort at an airstrip north of the city. The Foreign Office said over 1,500 British nationals and their dependents have left this way. Registration for the last flights has now closed. Those stuck in Sudan may head for the port, like several NHS doctors.
The issue with the Port Sudan evacuation is it's quite unclear. There's a little sort of presence for the UK evacuation. There's minimal communication. People are unclear whether they will actually be evacuated.
Many thousands of people are now heading into Port Sudan. The Foreign Office says it's set up a consular office in a hotel there, and a team will signpost options for departure. Meanwhile, in Khartoum, the fighting is continuing. For civilians left behind, life is increasingly difficult.
3 kilometers, there is no any shop open. All the shops are closed. There is no movement, there is nothing.
The temporary ceasefire isn't holding. There's currently little prospect of a longer peace. Sandra Berg, BBC News.
Well, our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucette, is in Jeddah now. Lise, what's happening where you are?
We have pulled up anchor. We are now beginning crossing of the Red Sea. It is a journey which will take us to Port Sudan. It could take 12 hours. It could take as many as 18. But what you are seeing now is a Saudi warship at the main King Faisal military base. You just saw a report from my colleague who we were witnessing the largest evacuation to date. But now we were heading to Sudan to pick up what are said to be hundreds, thousands of people from all nationalities, including Britons, trying to get out of Port Sudan, trying to get out of this descent into war, to get somewhere, anywhere but Sudan. And this is where we're heading now.
Okay, Lise, thank you for taking us through that. Our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucette, and we're sorry for the technical difficulties with that call. Well, hospital bosses are warning tomorrow's planned strike by nurses in England could cause a significant risk to safety. Members of the Royal College of Nursing are walking out from 8 o'clock tomorrow night until midnight on Monday as part of their long-running dispute over pay. The union insists it's engaging with hospitals to ensure safe staffing levels. Simon Jones reports.
At the Royal Preston Hospital, they're preparing for a challenging bank holiday weekend. Members of the RCN are set to walk out tomorrow, and for the first time, this will include nurses in emergency departments, intensive care units, and those working in cancer care at affected hospitals.
With emergency departments, no one plans to have an accident, no one plans to become unwell, and it's really unpredictable. So whether it's daytime, nighttime, people are still going to come in.
RCN members rejected a 5% pay offer plus a one-off payment. Some other unions, though, have voted to accept the deal. NHS bosses say the walkout means staffing levels in parts of the country will be exceptionally low during an already stretched weekend. Critical care will be prioritised.
Some of the things we want to do in the health service we won't be able to do, and we are a health service that is always running on hop. We always run on full capacity, so if you take capacity out even for a day, then it has knock-on effects.
Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children in London yesterday declared an incident to flag that it had serious concerns over how it would ensure the safety of its patients during the strike. The RCN has now agreed that some of its members can turn up for work during the action. The hospital says it's grateful and the incident is now under review. The RCN insists patients won't be abandoned.
Those really acute and critical services are included in the strike this time round. We have agreed in the Royal College of Nursing a range of critical safety exemptions within those services. We've been working for 2 weeks now with NHS England to ensure that those exemptions are put in place.
The strike is shorter than planned after the High Court ruled continuing it into Tuesday would be unlawful as the mandate had run out. The government says any action is unnecessary as nurses have been offered a fair and reasonable deal. Simon Jones, BBC News.
The sister of Ruth Perry, the head teacher who took her own life while awaiting an Ofsted report that downgraded her school, says she won't give up until the regulator is reformed. Speaking to a union conference of head teachers, Julia Waters called for schools to remove Ofsted banners and branding from their premises. Here's our education editor, Brenwan Jeffries.
Ruth Perry took her life while waiting for an Ofsted report. The school she ran was downgraded to inadequate. Inspectors raised concerns about keeping children safe. Today, Ruth's sister Julia gave an emotional speech to head teachers.
Ruth and I were both pupils at Caversham Primary School ourselves in the 1970s and absolutely loved it.
She described the impact on Ruth of the inspection.
The injustice of that one-word judgment destroyed Ruth's career, her world, and her sense of self. I won't give up until Ofsted is radically reformed to place the welfare of teaching staff, as well as of children, at its heart.
And called on schools to stop using Ofsted branding, head teachers to stop working as inspectors.
So please, stand up for Ruth, stand up for yourselves and each other, stand up to Ofsted, speak out, take down your banners, hand in your badges. Ofsted must be reformed.
Applause here from head teachers. But Ofsted says it's standing by the inspection and judgment of Caversham Primary. What happened here has prompted others to take a stand. This school in Cambridge has begun a legal challenge to Ofsted. The head teacher has said she too was left feeling suicidal. The school claims inspectors didn't follow proper process. Ofsted says it completely refutes these allegations. It's incredibly difficult for schools to challenge Ofsted's judgment. One of the main reasons is they don't get to see the evidence behind it. That goes straight from the inspectors to Ofsted, and it's never shared. The government has said Ofsted inspections are vital for parents. The Labour Party that it would replace one-word judgments with a scorecard. Brenwan Jeffries, BBC News.
It's just a fortnight to go until Liverpool hosts Eurovision. And of course, the song contest has become a huge event for the LGBT community. After Liverpool suffered a series of high-profile hate crime incidents in 2021, the region's Pride Group has now launched a programme to ensure hate crime victims get the support they need and report the crimes to the police. Here's our LGBT and identity correspondent, Lauren Moss.
It's just 2 weeks to go until the Eurovision Grand Finale. It's become one of the biggest events for the LGBT community, and thousands of people will descend on Liverpool.
Joy, fun, excitement.
Camp, isn't it?
Literally gay Christmas.
The city's working hard to welcome them 2 years after it was rocked by a spate of homophobic and transphobic hate crimes. The attacks prompted protests, calling for more to be done to make people feel safe.
My team only investigate hate crimes, so I can see a lot of this.
The region's Pride Group, alongside Merseyside Police, has created a first-of-its-kind training programme, and so far more than 100 businesses have signed up.
The response from the community, and particularly those businesses and organisations, was what can we do, how can we help? And so this is where the scheme came from, in terms of providing that useful information about what victim support is available, how they can best report crimes if they happen.
The pub where Rachel works has done the training. As a lesbian, she says it's important everywhere feels inclusive.
I know that I can go places and not be harassed or hate crimes or anything. You shouldn't have to walk around and go or look somewhere and think, no, I can't go in there because I don't know what will happen.
Shut up! Can't hear the music.
The run-up to Eurovision will include a packed programme of LGBT events, from drag shows to art exhibitions. There'll be all the glitter and the glam we've come to expect from the campus night in the calendar.
Shows like this will transform Liverpool over the next couple of weeks. A huge celebration for the queer community, a huge celebration for Eurovision.
And the most important question, how will Merseyside score on the night?
Liverpool, 12 points.
Lauren Moss, BBC News.
That's it for now. The next news on BBC One is at 5:25. Bye-bye from us.